I should have known you'd bid me farewell. There's a lesson to be learned from this, and I learned it very well. Now I know you're not the only starfish in the sea. If I never hear your name again, it's all the same to me. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Never cared for secrets I'd confide. To you I'm just an ornament, something for your pride. Always running, never caring, that's the life you live. Stolen minutes of your time were all you had to give. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. The stories in the past with nothing to recall. I've got my life to live and I don't need you at all. The roller coaster ride we took is nearly at an end. I've bought my ticket with my tears, that's all I'm gonna spend. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, it's bouncing and it's shining like a red rubber ball.
All the leaves are brown and the sky is gray. I've been for a walk on a winter's day. I'd be safe and warm if I was in LA. California dreaming on such a winter's day. I stopped into a church, I passed along the way. Well, I got down on my knees and I prepared to pray. You know the preacher like the ghost, he knows I'm gonna stay. California dreaming on such a winter's day. All the leaves are brown and the sky is gray. I've been for a walk on a winter's day. If I didn't tell her, then I could leave today. California
I should have known you'd bid me farewell. There's a lesson to be learned from this, and I learned it very well. Now I know you're not the only starfish in the sea. If I never hear your name again, it's all the same to me. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. You never cared for secrets I'd confide. To you I'm just an ornament, something for your pride. Always running, never caring, that's the life you live. Stolen minutes of your time were all you had to give. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. The stories in the past with nothing to recall. I've got my life to live, and I don't need you at all. The roller coaster ride we took is nearly at an end. I've bought my ticket with my tears, that's all I'm gonna spend. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, it's bouncing and it's shining like a red rubber ball.
sky is gray. I've been for a walk on a winter's day. I'd be safe and warm if I was in LA. California's wrinkling on such a winter's day. I stopped into a church I passed along the way. Well, I got down on my knees and I pretend to pray. You know the preacher like the ghost. He knows I'm gonna stay. California dreaming on such a winter's day. All the leaves are brown and the sky is gray. I've been for a walk on a winter's day. If I didn't tell her, then I could leave today. California's dreaming on such a winter's day. On such a winter's day. On such a winter's
should have known you'd bid me farewell. There's a lesson to be learned from this, and I learned it very well. Now I know you're not the only starfish in the sea. If I never hear your name again, it's all the same to me. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. You never cared for secrets I'd confide. To you I'm just an ornament, something for your pride. Always running, never caring, that's the life you live. Stolen minutes of your time were all you had to give. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. The stories in the past with nothing to recall. I've got my life to live, and I don't need you at all. The roller coaster ride we took is nearly at an end. I've bought my ticket with my tears, that's all I'm gonna spend. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, it's bouncing and it's shining like a red rubber ball.
Okay, 7 minutes before we go hot. You got people talking to you, or you got getting high Steves.
I know. And it's, yeah, he was on the way back from the boat. He said, I'm going to rush home, and he said, just stop calling when I get home.
All the leaves are brown,
So they tell you.
and the sky is gray. I've been for a walk on a winter's day. I'd be safe and warm if I was in LA. California dreaming on such a winter's day. I stopped into a church. I passed along the way. Oh, I got down on my knees and I pretended to pray. You know the preacher like before. He knows I'm gonna stay. California dreaming on such a winter's day. All the leaves are brown and the sky is gray. I've been for a walk on a winter's day. If I didn't tell her, then I could leave today. California dreaming on such a winter's
I should have known you'd bid me farewell. There's a lesson to be learned from this, and I learned it very well. Now I know you're not the only starfish in the sea. If I never hear your name again, it's all the same to me. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. You never cared for secrets I'd confide. To you I'm just an ornament, something for your pride. Always running, never caring, that's the life you live. Stolen minutes of your time were all you had to give. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. The stories in the past with nothing to recall. I've got my life to live and I don't need you at all. The roller coaster ride we took is nearly at an end. I've bought my ticket with my tears, that's all I'm gonna spend. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, it's bouncing and it's shining like a red rubber ball.
And we are live, transmitting from the Tarbis alternate site, my office. Well, hello, Glue Troopers, and everybody, welcome aboard. Let's, Steve, you want to give me a voice check real quick?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And let me just turn this up, see what kind of delay we're on. And we are okay. Live. We have. Okay, looks like we're running about your usual 10-15 second delay. No big deal. Guys, Ken will be with us later. He's on his way back from docking the boat. So welcome everybody to another scintillating live stream of Max's Models. First off, we were hoping to have Dan Monroe with us this evening, but he had a scheduling conflict. He was booked to do something, and he got the word at the last minute. So we'll try to schedule it for next week. And so he sent me a very, he's been in good communication with me. He's like, apologize. And, like, man, I get it. Things happen. I'm really, everybody's looking forward to having him. And I just see it as an opportunity to build more excitement about when he does show. Since now, just real quick, I think a lot of you guys know this, but I just came back from a few days, from a 2-day trip followed by 3 days of vacation in California, where I was with Mike Machat was running me around, and from Celebrating Aviation with Mike Machat. We had a fantastic time. First time I'd flown into Burbank, and we took tons of pictures of models and everything else. And it's actually going to have to be a series of videos. It's way too much to cover in one video. Since when I took the red eye back last night and then came down from New York this morning, so I didn't had airplane sleep. So when I got home, I took a quick nap and just threw all this together at the last second. And since which really I'm kind of glad that Dan may be with us next week or something, because that'll give me more time to prepare, because this was I had to put all this together. So since I went to the to the Bob's Big Boy, which has been around since 1949, I think it is, and it's the hot rod place, and of course it's been a Bob's Big Boy in Burbank has been a fixture of the hot rod scene there since hot rod started, and it's the same building and everything. So there were a lot of cars there. I took a ton of pictures, and I started thinking about the influence that the California car scene had on the kit model business. In fact, you could say California in general, but because you had a lot of aircraft manufacturers, you had Lockheed and Ryan. North American, and but you also had Revell Models out there in Venice, and as you often point out, the number one thing in cars or in models is cars. They're still the number one sellers. So I thought we might kind of talk about how since I have all kinds of cool pictures of hot rods. By the way, all those pictures, all the color pictures you just saw were ones I took on the trip, interspersed with some black and white ones, taken by a guy named, I believe it was McCloskey back in '71. He used to kind of, what was the word you would say, take a photo journal of the California car scene in SoCal back then. And so I thought it would intersperse, and you're seeing a lot of the same cars. In fact, that Mustang looked identical to the one from the 70s with the two girls leaning on it. But that just got me thinking, that's, just how big of an impact was the California culture on model building. And I think, you can't talk about that without starting off with the cars.
Well, we always talk about Harley Earl. Mm-hmm. The guy who built and designed your favorite car, the Buick Y-Job.
The Y-Job, yeah.
Now, Harley Earl came from Los Angeles.
I did not know that.
Family were coach builders. Back in the day when you would order a car from Duesenberg or Packard or whoever, and then you would employ a coach builder to make a body for it, which is why a lot of these cars look very different, and there were only limited editions of certain bodies. Mm-hmm. So, Harley Earl came from California.
So there's some of that influence right there.
Now, after the war, you had a lot of soldiers who went to the Pacific. They weren't from California, but they re-embarked in California back to the United States. A lot of them chose to stay. Mm-hmm. Didn't leave, didn't go back to wherever they came from.
To Podunk, Iowa, or wherever.
Yeah, and these guys had learned and picked up a lot of skills from, being in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, they'd pick up a 32 Ford, they'd pick up a 38 Ford, something that was built before the war because they stopped building passenger cars during the war.
Right.
And they'd take their skills and they'd hop it up and they'd take an engine from one and put it in another, and they'd do a little body work and they'd chop the top, and that's where hot rodding basically started, and then it sort of worked its way across the country. And the same thing with custom cars. A lot of it started in California.
Well, you mentioned I put up this picture of this Buick because you mentioned Buick, and
this red car with the white top?
Mm-hmm. It's been modified, but
Oldsmobile.
It's an Olds. Oh, okay.
It's an Olds.
That's an Olds. Okay.
A Rocket 88.
No, that's a 98. At least it says 98 on the placard of the side, because Mike said the same thing. Is it 88? It says 98 here. Let me see. But I'm sorry, I was thinking. You're right. It is. But it has the. Let me. Where's that picture? It does have the. There it is. There it is. Everybody's gonna love this. These are kind of little things that are fiddly parts. So they're big parts on the car, but they're they're fiddly little parts on the model. And then you see the car, and you go, wow, this hood ornament really is a very predominant, maybe a tiny little piece you need to scrape the chrome off of and put on with tweezers. But when you look at the car, it's like, good Lord, this thing looks like, that's got like a 1 foot wingspan on it.
You want picture getting hit with that car and having that thing impale you.
Jesus. And train, it's a cow catcher. For us, it's just slow pedestrians.
And a lot of the cars back then, they had elaborate hood ornaments.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they used to have hood ornaments that were functional. They had hood ornaments that had a thermometer in it that told you whether or not what your coolant temperature was in the radiator.
Huh. Well, there you go. One of the cars that was there had the I think was it a Camaro? It had the gauge that was out on the hood under a little cover.
Yeah, probably had a tachometer on the hood.
Or maybe that was an attack, and I was like, oh, I'm sure it's just a selling point, but that's still pretty cool.
Well, the one that popularized that was Pontiac when the GTO switched over to it was like late 66, early 67, and they went to electronic ignition. You could get a hood-mounted tack as an option. And the psychology was that if you were racing the car, on the street, you didn't have to look at the dashboard to see your RPMs because it was out in front of you.
There you go.
So it was kind of like a early mechanical version of heads-up display.
Well, imagine you're a pedestrian, and here's your view of this car when it doesn't stop. You look and see at that model airplane about to harpoon you, and look at the rearview mirrors.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little skull. It's like, what is this? Satan's car? Yeah.
The biggest problem with those hood-mounted tacks were they were very easy to be borrowed. They used to disappear like you would not believe, but it was different. It was interesting.
But I remember they had an episode of Happy Days where the three Richie and Potsy and Ralph Mouth, they went in together like $50 a piece and bought an old convertible, and it was having all kinds of problems. So Fonz comes and fixes it. They don't have any money. They go, how can we pay you? And he just bangs the hood and pops off the eagle hood ornament. He says, that'll do. Walks off, and they go, great, that was the best part of the car.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how many TV shows of the late 50s, Leave It to Beaver, Ozzie and Harriet, those kind of shows where the kid would get some kind of clapped out hot rod that he'd buy for $25, and then he'd get his friends and they'd fix the thing up in the garage and make it a running car.
They had an episode of My Three Sons where Chip wanted to buy a rotted out, I think it was a Model T or Model A that had been hot rodded out, and and his dad's telling him, Chip, just the insurance alone is unaffordable, because so he winds up buying a like cherry mint original condition Model A with the little vase things on the outside. Yep. If he's afraid all his friends will laugh at him because it's such an old car, but it's like mint condition. And after a while, it becomes very popular. He just likes to keep it because it's And I went to work. I mean, I got all the hand-me-down cars from our family, so I was waiting to get my grandma's Maverick, but I wasn't able to. But I did get her '64 Polara with the push-button gears.
Well, so if you look at the fact that this was virtually the birthplace of hot rodding, and you had a lot of speed equipment manufacturers that were in the LA area that made tires, wheels, manifolds, carburetors, camshafts, engine parts. And you had the Barris brothers and a bunch of other famous customizers that were from the West Coast. It would be obvious that Revell, who is located there, would be making those cars. And if you talk to our friend Jim Keeler, when he went to Revell as a teenager, I believe he was like 19 years old when they hired him. The first 3 cars that he told them to make was the 56 Ford pickup truck, which I believe is still in the line today. Mickey Thompson's Challenger. And I forget what the other one was, but it was the Ed Roth Outlaw. Okay. And then from there, it was like a wave. I mean, they just started cranking out all these, race cars and hot rods and stuff. And then Monogram jumped in, and then you spawned off the companies like MPC and IMC. And although they were in the Midwest, MPC and IMC, they had hired designers from California that went to the design school in California. And today, a lot of the major automotive companies, they have design studios that are in California. They're in the LA area because of the influence. I mean, Tom Daniels from California.
Yeah, but he is. But when he was in the playpen doing design style work, he was actually in the Midwest, in Detroit or wherever it was. And,
yeah, but he eventually migrated to California.
Well, he was from California, but you're right, he was from California originally, migrated back. Yeah. So he definitely brought that influence with him. And, you talk about the old trucks, and there were quite a few of them there. But one of them was for sale. And the thing I like about all these vehicles, they all drove in. None of them were trailered in or anything. Yep. All of them had road dirt on them and stuff. And some of them like daily drivers. I mean, they had, real road dirt on them. And the trucks, it's funny, when I was a kid, I faintly remember trucks looking like this, and they were just old trucks. And of course now they're cherished classics. By the way, everybody, if you are building a car, a vintage model car with California plates, you'll notice the black tag with the 6 letters, or the 6 digits, or 6 characters. You have to pay an extra $50 in California to get that because it's a retro tag. That's the way the California tags looked back in the 40s and 50s. Oh, Mike's here with us. College of Design, Gateway to Detroit Styling Houses. Yes. Art Center, College of Design. And there's... and I'm probably going to get confused on some of this because you guys are way better on the cars. But there were also some Corvettes there. And I was shocked to learn how knowledgeable Mike was on Corvettes. Turns out he's restored a few of them. Because, we always say he was a Mustang guy. But unfortunately, some of my photos of them didn't turn out. Let me see. But some of them did. But it kind of started... And when we were there, the nice thing about the Corvettes here is that they had a real representation at a 59 and some much more modern stuff, and even the new one with the engine in back. And it really helps you to see I'll call it the evolution of the car. But if if you're the kind of person who likes to really detail out your model cars, these kinds of shows are great because people love to talk about their cars and the work they've done. You take all the pictures you want, and you get all the details under the hood and everything. And of course, no two of these cars were the same. I assume a few of these cars were probably just stock because the newer ones, but because it's funny, Steve. Right now, old car, vintage cars are probably at their most valuable when they're in 100% authentic condition.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole idea of hot rodding was to turn it. So when you hot rod the car, you're kind of like taking the value away from it. I mean, if you're thinking in terms of money,
a small percentage of people who hot rod a car
mm-hmm.
start with a nice running car.
Most start with rollers and clunkers.
They usually buy something that's been neglected for years. They found it in somebody's backyard, in a garage. It hasn't run for X amount of years. It's missing parts, and then they kind of make it their own.
Yeah. So you're not committing a sin against history by
right.
Hacking on it and adding all this stuff.
That's like a lot of these movies that use like what would be considered classic cars.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll include the Dukes of Hazzard in this. I mean, the amount of actual remaining cars that they kill is just like heresy.
But most of them are junkers.
But, if you know how many 69 Chargers they destroyed doing the Dukes of Hazzard, it's just...
I think it was over 40.
Yeah.
But...
and like, Christine, okay?
Uh-huh.
Now, in Christine, they made a bunch of replicas, and they made them that would do the imploding and the crushing and
mm-hmm.
coming back together. But they still wrecked a bunch of 57 Plymouths, and the collector car community was outraged because there's not that many of them left.
That's why we made fiberglass copies. Or, Mike was pointing out that at least 10% of these cars had their original engines. And this 59 Vet, Mike immediately identified. He took a say. He said, "Yeah, it's a 59." And the owner was sitting right there, and he was impressed because he said Mike's the first person to take one look at it and get it right. So I guess, like you were talking about earlier, some subtle styling changes that would get past most people.
Mike says 10% of their cars last night had their stock engines.
Right, which is apparently more than he expected. So some of them were actually, in original condition. But most of. Oh, well, okay. Let me. This is one I was going to show you earlier. We were talking about our favorite vehicles. I think mine was the 57 Nomad wagon, but that's more for sentimental reasons. And but this, I was like, "Where's Vin Diesel?" Let me see, where's a picture of it. Unfortunately, when I downloaded it, I did all this in a super big hurry, and unfortunately, I downloaded some of the stuff in two different places. So I keep bouncing back and forth.
You already passed that one. It was already up.
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me cancel.
Yeah,
that.
the black GTX with the blower, and the silver stripes on the fenders.
Okay. I must have. Okay, I deleted it. That's what I did.
Ew.
Hold on. Well, I go right back and find it again. Let's see. Okay. This was. I'm just gonna real quick. This was probably my favorite, which is 57 Nomad, because my mom had one, and it was not that pretty. This was like the car got driven regularly. But I don't know. I just always thought the Nomads were cool looking cars.
They were. They were not the. They were not the station wagon of choice because they were a two-door.
Yeah.
So they were kind of like the lower end of the spectrum, and then the hot rodders, said these are great, and they just they clamped onto them and they made them extremely popular.
And
they're nice looking cars. They really
they are, and there's a lot of kits of them out there, so you can.
Yes, there are.
Let me go to PCD. I think that one's under Burbank trip. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so tell me about this. Oops. Okay. Tell me about this beastie, this GTX. What's the story on that?
I'm not looking at it.
It'll take it about 20 seconds. It's the same car you saw earlier. It says Hemi, but that monster of an engine with the blower and everything on top. I mean, it may be a Hemi, but by God, that was probably the loudest thing that was out there. And we talked with the owner. It turned out he'd been a tanker in the Army, so we wound up talking armor. But
okay, yeah, I could see from the valve covers it looks like a Hemi. It's
okay.
It's a GT. It's either a Roadrunner or a GTX, which is the same body. That's like a 71. He's got a high-rise manifold, 2 4s. Doesn't have blower. Big scoop. The engine's probably got a significant amount of work to it.
Yeah.
But that's what that's what they were putting out in 71. Not with that type of top of the motor, but
a lot of these cars were in still in the process of being done. So you look at it from a few feet away, like, oh, that looks nice. You walk out and you realize the interior is not finished. But
well, the problem with these things are that usually they're never done. There's always something that has to be done, and the key is after working on them for how long, you just want to get it running and driving, and then the rest of it can sort of follow. And you'll see a lot of. Well, I consider this to be a hot rod because it's modified. There's a roll bar in it.
Yeah. Mike says he said it was a Plymouth Roadrunner.
Okay.
Or that's what it said on the wood panel. Okay.
Okay.
And,
yeah. Roadrunner. Yeah. Okay. So heat burns gas and rubber. There you go.
That was one of the funniest things I saw while I was there. Was another good one. Okay, I'm going to show you a car. Let's play a little game of Stump the Monkey. I'm going to show you a car. I had absolutely no idea what it was. We had to ask the guy. Let me find the picture. I wish I put these all in one place. I'll give you a hint. It's not American. But we were sitting there like, is this a real car? And it is. Let's see. Okay, where did I put it? Got some really nice photos after the sun went down, too. The place is pretty well lit up. And some of the cars even had lights built in under the hoods, which was a nice touch.
Look at it this way. Every Friday night, that's what's there.
Yeah.
It might be different cars, but there's an enthusiast community that every Friday night they go out. And another thing they're really popular in the LA area, and I'm sure Mike knows this, is Cars and Coffee on Sunday mornings. And they have a huge turnout with people that come out and bring their cars out in the morning, and they have coffee and then they show them and they leave.
Okay, this is the car I was talking about. Oh, there it is. It should just be popping up on your screen here in a couple of seconds. I don't know of any models of this car, but I haven't had a chance to really research it. And I didn't even notice it was right-hand drive at first. Yeah, that was exactly our reaction.
Looks like what was it? It's some kind of Japanese car.
You're correct. It was Akazam AZ1.
Right.
And he renamed it Lamborghini.
Yeah, okay. That's wishful thinking on his part, but okay.
Does size really matter? But I honestly do not think I could physically fit in that thing. But it was just, I was like, okay, that was worth the trip. I've seen something I've never seen before, never heard of before. I got educated whether I wanted to or not. And but what I thought we might do at some point, I was really inspired by what I saw here. And I mean, and I've talked about this on the channel before. the California car culture has had a huge influence on American society, period. And its influence on model building is a little hard to overstate because, like you said, 65% of all models sold are model cars?
Well, it's more like 80.
Okay. And it appealed to the young people to work on the cars and to do this kind of stuff. So what we're talking about is, of course, California seems to have has an oversized influence on American culture in general, partly because of Hollywood. The silver screen is the palette that a lot of culture emanates from. And I mean, how many people started saying "Hasta la vista, baby" after they saw Terminator, or go ahead, make my day. So it's a little hard to overstate. You see, and of course, a lot of the movies are shot, or at least were shot there. So a lot of the places kind of become fixtures. The Golden Gate Bridge, Coit Tower, in L.A. They have a lot of places that become. Well, actually, I think Bob's Big Boy's been in a couple of movies. I think. At least for interior shots, but I didn't have a chance to look at it, but I think there was a website about it. And so, what these artisans were doing, not only the big names like Gene, oh gosh, this is what happens when I'm tired and I try to think. Winfield, Gene Winfield, and Dick Dean, and Embarrass. So, I mean, you can show a picture of the Batmobile, or a model of the Batmobile to someone, in the middle of the Sahara, and they go, "Oh, Batmobile." And like you say, with Revell being there, and it's ironic because I understand that other than AMT and MPC, which were primarily cars, early on, I think Monogram was actually considered the big kit model car company, wasn't it?
Yeah, because they made more detailed. Car kits than Revell initially did. Revell's early cars, they were multi-piece bodies. Mm-hmm. Where you had to glue the sides on to the top, and it wasn't a one-piece body.
I've got one of those. In fact, I won't build it because it's one of the early motorized ones, which is actually kind of like it's a little too vintage to build. But yeah, they're a nightmare to build that way.
Monogram came out with some really nice car kits. It wasn't until actually Revell hired Jim Keeler that they really got serious about being in the car business, model car business, and he's the one who showed him the way. And then MPC came along, AMT, came along, Johan, came along, and IMC came along, and in the 60s there was just this explosion of model car kits.
Well, that mirrored society as a whole, the culture as a whole, I think. And
well, I mean, Southern California is the perfect place for it because the weather's perfect.
Yes, it is.
I mean, you have your car, and you take care of your car, and it always looks good. And then you had all the
doesn't bloody rust.
Yeah, you had all the speed equipment manufacturers. You had Hollywood, and you had TV. Constantly, putting a car in a TV show, or in a commercial, or in a movie, and the custom car thing.
Ken's dialing in. I'm gonna chime him in. You're gonna cut out for a second when I do that. Okay, merge with Steve. Merge.
Hello.
Hey, Ken.
Hey, Ron. Hey, Steve. Hey, Ken. How you doing? Living the dream.
It's funny you mentioned that because when Mike dropped me off the airport last night in Burbank, I went through security. By the time they enter Gate 7, which at Burbank Airport is all the way down at the end because the building curves, because that building's so close to the runway, if we park our planes on the regular gates, the tail will be too close to the runway. So that is how Ken has docked. That's how tight Burbank is. So anyway, I hoof it all the way down the end, and I started, old and out of shape, and I started to sweat a little bit. 10 minutes later, I'm dry as a bone, right? it's just like, oh, it's cool, it's comfortable.
Okay, Max, done with the story. Enough with the sweating.
Yes.
Okay. So Mike just pointed out, rightfully so, look at all the music from the 60s. The Beach Boys, Jan and Dean.
Oh, yeah.
All the songs about cars.
Mm-hmm.
That was all California, bred.
Yeah. And so I get off the plane in Florida. I'm in an air-conditioned airplane the whole way over, changing New York where it's 60 degrees. Fly down here to Florida, walk out of the air-conditioned airport here in Orlando, and in 3 seconds I'm soaked, sweating. Like, oh my God, it hit me like, oh boy, it's amazing what a week away from this place will do for you. You get spoiled out in California, when nothing rusts, and. By the way, I did get the full California experience. We had an earthquake while I was there, 4.7. Or as they say in California, a wake-up call.
That's just a little shake.
And that's your Mike. Actually, go. Did you get your wake-up call this morning? But the other thing is, though, not just in the cars, but with Revell being based in was that? I think you're right. I think that was about the only major model company that was actually based in California.
There was. You had a lot of slot car companies that came out of there.
Uh-huh.
But that was a whole nother, thing, and that was short-lived.
Okay. But the getting back to what I was just wondering about earlier, though, is that the hot rod culture probably, I would say, had 50% of the models made were in some way influenced by it. Given that you're saying up to 80% of the models were cars, and yep. And I'm not just thinking hot rods. I'm also thinking muscle cars, which I know they're factory made in Detroit, but still
muscle cars, race cars.
But like you said, they're hiring designers from California, so the car doesn't. So you start looking at all the model cars that are made, and you start realizing that just about everything that's not a station wagon or a pickup truck, at some level, probably has a California influence in it, if nothing else, in the styling of the thing, and particularly Southern California, if I'm not mistaken, because I don't think.
I have to take you and Mike to task.
Okay.
I'm on the In-N-Out Burger website.
Okay.
And I typed in locations.
Uh-huh.
There is one in Burbank, one in Glendale, and one in North Hollywood, all within 5 miles of the airport.
Yeah, but the way you said it, I thought it was like the one at L.A. where it was like right by the end of the runway.
Oh, it's right off the 101, about a half a mile from the airport. It's on 1st Street in Burbank.
Yes,
So
but the one at LAX, I can feel the wake turbulence as they go by.
Yeah, well.
I want hydraulic fluid mist dropping on my food. But I'll tell you what they did have that was really good, guys. I'm a native Southern boy. You wouldn't know it to look at me, but I actually born and raised in the American Deep South. And there's one thing that Southern boys are pretty snobbish about. It's barbecue. And we went to a place called Wood Ranch, and it had the best beef ribs I have had in my life. And the first ones that I didn't have to chaw on, because beef ribs tend to be a little chewy. I guess it's a local chain, but it's definitely gets the 5-star double thumbs up seal of approval. And I'll be boring you guys with a series of videos about the trip. We saw a lot of great models, which I didn't have a chance to download all the pictures because we saw Mike's collection, which I'll be doing a video on, and friends of his collection. A lot of Northrop stuff, North American, but the Museum of Flying in Santa Monica that Mike works for or is running is got a lot of some new models, including the North American display with Navions and Mustangs. And they are absolutely out of sight. the quality of the builds. But and again, excuse me. Let me see if I downloaded the pictures of any of those. If not, I can get them off my phone. But they have a local guy that donates some of his builds to them, and excuse me, he did you know the Hawk/Testers U2.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, of course, Lockheed was based out in California. Well, he did one that was all metal skin. I don't know if he used like Alclad on it or if he used metal foil, and he mounted it at the angle that the U2 climbs out at, which, and a lot of people don't realize that the U2 just almost stands on its tail when it takes off. It can't go very fast; it'll damage itself. With all that thrust, it has to climb at about a 70-degree pitch attitude. I mean, it looks like a rocket going up. And here we go. Camera.
What airplane is that, Max?
The U2. And
yeah.
but he has this display in there, and let me run.
Here. They made a chrome version of.
Well, this is not the chrome that came out of the box. This is something.
No, sure it is. Yeah, but they did make a chrome version.
Yeah, they did, and well, there was some of the U2s were aluminum, not chrome, but let's see. Here we go.
It's amazing how fast those things landed, considering those huge wings they had.
Yes. And it's really hard to get them on the ground. They just want to float and float. What a shock.
Yeah, I'll bet they got some serious ground effect.
While I'm looking for that picture, I'm going to show you guys a photo of Mike with his car and see if you can figure out what's going on here. You'll see it in about 20 seconds. Mike, you know the picture I'm putting up. Let's see.
Did you have a Tommy burger?
A what?
Hoot Owl is asking, is Max still an original Tommy burger virgin?
I'm not sure what Tommy burger was, but you guys should have the picture up now.
You trying to prevent a shopping cart from hitting it?
You're kind of, sort of, you're in the neighborhood.
Don't scratch my car.
He did go into defense mode because that is the rock star parking spot at the Burbank airport. Right by the elevator. 3 steps or 5 steps you're in the elevator. But he was like, we got like the #1 parking spot. He was like, all right, I'm going to call an Uber. No one touch my car.
Do you have to worry about blue ice from the airplanes?
Here we go. This is the U2 model, and it's just a standard, our tester's kit. But that is he just. I mean, I want to say it's museum quality work, but it's in a museum. And that is the angle that they climb out at, and I'm guessing that's metal foil, but I guess it could be Alclad. I don't know what technique he uses, but that is the best looking model, Tester's model Tester's Hawk, the kit I'm talking about. But that is the best looking one I've ever seen. Although, I think he may have actually made some mods to it because I think he's made an earlier version of it. But at least it doesn't have the LRT, the long range tanks on it. But it's just I was in awe of the beautiful workmanship he did on it. And if you guys get over the Santa Monica Museum of Flying, they've got a lot of beautiful models on display. And here are some of the stuff they had in the North American display cabinet.
A Costanza parking spot.
yeah, exactly. Costanza. Hey, I remember that episode. I got the yeah, that's what it is. Transform, fit the screen. But some of these are metal foil. Some are they got the Navions, the F-82, the F-86, the F-100. But you know what? Let me pick a.
Those things must have a serious weight to thrust.
They
ratio.
Absolutely do. Well, what it is, it's not only is it extremely light to go up high, but it's got those exceedingly, basically sailplane wings on it. And here we go. Let me just set you guys up a little slideshow here that'll give you a good look at some of this stuff. Okay, open. And fit to screen.
Most people don't keep a classic card long enough for it to be restored again.
Huh.
Yeah, well, if you do it right, you don't have to do it again.
True.
And if you do it once, you don't want to do it again.
Let me slow down.
Are you speaking from experience?
Yeah, ask my wife.
Oh.
If my wife knew how much was tied up in this car in the garage, I'd be living with Gus.
Well, it's a good thing that you kept it to yourself and didn't announce it on an open internet web channel where the whole world could see.
Yeah, well, she doesn't watch it, so it's okay.
That you know
You're
of.
safe. Okay.
Always assume she does.
Yeah.
But again, even up close, these models hold up very well. The people who did them, or the person who did them, just beautiful workmanship. And these compound curves, red stripes around, fuselage markings and things, they're really difficult to get straight. My astute class submarine had a bunch of those on it. I put them on after they hard, and I looked at them. I was like, I'm just going to tell them it was done by a drunken sailor. Then, of course, you also got the Navions, and I'm not sure which kits those are. I'm guessing they're probably the Pegaso kit. But, and what?
Sarah Jane goes, will you stop talking about food? It's 1:45 in the morning.
And you're making me hungry.
And they also, and I really couldn't get one picture of it, they also got that, I believe, 9-foot long Battleship Missouri on display now, which I had seen when it was in storage, but need some pictures of that up here. Now this, of course, and apparently this model is an RC. And it can actually float and go around and, all right, let's...
The one with the machine gun belts in the wings?
What?
Which model are you talking about being the RC?
No, the USS Missouri battleship, the 9-foot long battleship they have.
Okay, because we're looking at airplanes and you're talking about RC.
Yeah, they're God gummit. Every time I click this in the wrong place, it goes completely off the. They all unhighlight.
Bill Campbell says, my wife is sitting in front of me. I know I'm safe saying what I type.
All right, here we go. This was donated to them by another museum. This was a museum model that was donated to them by another museum when it changed its to a different model, larger model. But that's not, you can't really tell, but that's about 9 feet long, and it is a functional RC. And again, I need to slow down the rate of change. For some reason, it goes to 2,000 milliseconds.
Hey Max, you ought to show that that video, or at least some pictures from that video. That guy built that stainless steel aircraft carrier. That was an incredible model.
Yeah. Oh. Stainless steel, I still don't understand how. Well, you know what? Probably the medium you already know how to work with, I guess. But
you haven't seen the video?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Ooh, Steve sent it out.
Yeah, I know. I'm so backed up on stuff. Well,
that guy really did a good job. I mean, it launched airplanes. It had 2 jet engines for propulsion. It made out of stainless steel.
There are people out there with a lot more skill than I have. Now, we also went
to... And a track cradle, so it could travel into the water.
Oh, yeah. And it looked like it had 4 turboprop engines on the side of it.
All right. All of you airplane modelers, vintage aircraft modelers, you're about to get a pop quiz. All right. In Mike's personal collection, he has a B-47. And Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, that is an old Revell B-47, I believe.
Mike just said Burbank Auto Books, Aero Books. We'll see that next time for Max.
Okay, yeah. Now, what is it about...
It's a Jay Leno favorite.
Yeah, apparently Leno goes there from time to time. So this is an extremely rare, possibly one-off model. Does anybody notice anything else? Any of you vintage airplane modelers? And we have to give a minute to answer because they got to see the picture. And gosh, I'm getting to that point. I want to say Revell. Well, there was a rather, and Mike, keep me honest on this, it was a rather well-known line of air power models, right? I'm giving him a chance to.
Yes, original 1954 Revell B-47 kit.
Wendell came in with the hit with the hit. It did not have a gear.
Revell B-47 didn't have gear.
Correct.
No, it was on the tip.
It did not have a landing gear. It was model went on a stand. To our knowledge, that is the only.
Chuck said. Chuck said forward radome.
No.
Yep.
What it is that makes this model different, though, is that it's the only one that ever had a landing gear from the Revell. And by that, we mean they manufactured the kits where it had to go on a stand, wheels up only. Apparently, they popped one with a landing gear, decided not to go with it. And I don't know if they did more than one or not. Mike can give us the details on the kit itself. But to our knowledge, that is the only one that actually came from the Revell factory with wheels. Which makes it way more than just a novelty. That makes it genuinely rare. Personally, I want to find the shots for the 132nd scale X-13 that they test fired and said, oh, we're not going to put in production. Well, I'll just take these home. Andy Yanchus had the only pink Aurora Jolly Green Giant.
You want to hear about some stuff that was made that disappeared out of the Revell shops, you want to have a talk with Keeler.
Yeah, I'm sure
he talks about stuff they had him make because they were considering producing it. And he said he'd go and make the presentation, and he'd put it back in his office, and he'd go to lunch, and he'd come back and it'd be gone.
Gosh, what are the odds?
All the time.
Yeah, somebody's gonna, when some guy passes away and this family goes through his stuff, hell, we're gonna stick this on eBay for $5 and keep your eyes open.
Well, it's Phil Seferano's basement.
Yeah.
Now, what about that one that you found, Steve? That car kit?
Well, yeah, but that wasn't that was a production kit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And there's an interesting little tidbit. This is I believe, actual factory build-up. You guys will see it in a little bit. This is the kit that came of the I want to say DC-7 or is it DC-7? I think that came with the pilot waving. What?
Sluggo says California had Spicoli and Florida had Max back in the day.
There you go. Dude, I'm so stoned. But I believe this is a factory build-up. If you bought a gross of models, you got the factory build-up. In fact, I believe we went and saw our buddy Jim, and he actually had one, but I think the box might have been a repro. Let me see if I can find that real quick.
That must have been a really breezy ride in that airplane.
Yeah. Well, people forget a lot of these early kits didn't have any acrylic parts, any clear parts. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of them didn't have windows.
This is
why he's waving out it.
This is a build-up that Jim had, and
James Chaladeck says, "As for all my stuff when I die, 2 words: Viking funeral."
There you go.
But as Mike has pointed out on his channel, they had a room full of sweet little old ladies that built these models for the build-ups, and the box,
They were talented little old ladies.
yes,
too.
they were. But they didn't over detail them. I don't think they painted the frame on the canopies or anything. They just put a basic paint job on them. But they look really good and help sell the model. I mean, you got to remember in the 50s, people didn't get quite so detailed usually in models, and but apparently these some of these build-up boxes there's somebody who's reproducing them, so you can if you have a vintage kit, you can display it on like a build-up box. But there's a gentleman we've talked about on the channel before, an artist, Air Force and airline pilot, Craig Cadera, who apparently this model with the flagship California is like the first model he saw and built, and with the pilot waving, that's when he decided he wanted to be a pilot. So these things, models have a big impact on people. I know they had a big impact on me as a kid, and whatever your preferred subject matter is, cars, planes, boats, whatever, I think one of the things that's so important about model building is a kid can be part of whatever it is. And that's not something to be taken lightly. And, of course, a lot of the, being a Douglas aircraft, again, the California influence. It's, for most of us, we just go, oh, it's a hobby. I like to build models. And people are like, oh, that's okay. And then you realize it's really a lot more than that. There's an old joke, and supposedly there's a story flying around. I don't know if it's apocryphal or not. A lot of us know that Rod Serling was an avid model builder, mostly World War I aircraft. And Serling, as the story goes, was having trouble building the Fokker triplane, got mad, threw it on the floor and stomped on it. And they asked him, why do you build these models? He's like, it relaxes me.
Yeah. Chris Pacer is saying, seriously, there was a movie called Earth Girls Are Easy. You remember that movie?
Yeah, oh yeah.
There were one.
Yeah. What wasn't that Gary Shandling?
No, it was Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, it was Jeff Goldblum? Okay.
Uh-huh.
But
yeah. Max actually started writing a script that he kind of stole a whole bunch of ideas from a bunch of different science fiction movies, and that was one of his favorites.
Which one was that? Outer Kids or?
I think so.
Yeah. Well,
you said this script just writes itself.
Yeah. The thing is not to pilfer too much from anyone. Just take little bits in here. Well, the Ken, you remember the running gag I said was that I want the movie to be an homage to old movies. Like, the guys are hunkered down. It's kind of like, how are we going to be these flying saucers? Like, hey, look, if Hugh Marlowe can beat him with a steak body Ford pickup truck, and a ray gun that looked like it was made out of coffee cans, I think we can take him, man. And always reference the old movies, guys. But one of my favorite references in a movie about that is in the movie with Dave Duchovny or was it Orlando Wilson, Evolution? And have you ever seen it?
No.
It's a science fiction comedy and a really good one. I think it's one of those little undervalued gems. But yeah, meteor comes to Earth and it's got something on it that starts growing and fabricating. At Revell Factory, Venice was only 3.5 miles from Douglas Factory in Santa Monica. That's what explained. They made a lot of Douglas products. But
did you ever finish that script?
Oh yeah, they probably lost it too.
Really?
Oh yeah. But Ken, I finished 5 screenplays. Once I get going, But
Did you see them all, Ken?
But in Evolution,
he never tells me he finishes them. He just says, "I'm working on it."
Yeah. Well, in Evolution, they see these weird creatures that have evolved on Earth, because the name of the movie, Evolution, because they're evolving super quick. And Dave Duchovny says, pick that one up. And he's like, oh no, I saw that movie. That's where the brother gets it. And I was like, finally, somebody's actually seen a science fiction movie. Because I watched Alien Prometheus, and the guy's with his helmet putting it right up to the creature. I'm go, have you ever seen a sci-fi movie? What do they not have science fiction in the future?
Yeah, what is wrong with this?
Science fiction movies in the future.
Remember,
Okay.
Ripley was the one that told him not to let the guy in until he gone through decontamination, and if necessary, jettison him out into space. Or, as they said in the movie Airplane, route him out over the lake.
Hey, everything is solved now that there is an A to Z book. A is for alien, to teach your kids the alphabet.
There you go. A is for alien, R is for Ripley, H is for Hudson. He's not joking, by the way, Steve. You want to tell him about that?
I sent you I texted you a picture of the page on Amazon.
I can't.
I was like, my wife was like, "They're serious? You're kidding, really? Right?"
Nope.
Nope, it's a real thing. The alien, you teach the kid the alphabet by teaching every alphabet letter, something from Alien. Starting with A for alien.
What's the Z? I'm curious.
Xenomorph.
Xenomorph.
Or is that may be an X?
That's X.
Oh, okay.
That's an X.
Z is ZU in the sequel.
Ooh.
But
N was for Nostromo.
And for
Bad
Nostromo.
Max. Bad Max.
Yeah.
F was for Facehugger.
F was for Facehugger.
I read this thing and I was like, let me read this again. I really didn't read this right. I'm like, I thought it was a joke. And then it says available on Amazon. I went on Amazon and typed it in. I was like, son of a gun, they really did make it.
You should get it, Steve.
My wife looked at me and said, don't you dare touch that order button.
Well,
Does she stand over your shoulder when you're on Amazon?
Well, I was laughing, and she was like, what are you laughing about? And then I said, don't you dare order that. I said,
Oh,
it's only $5.
it's only, shoot, that's drink money.
W is for we're screwed. S is for Sulaco. B is for Battlestar Galactica.
G is for game over, man. Game
Over, man! And N is for Narcissus. The fun we could have with that. Well, one of the other things, just getting back to what the whole gist of what I threw together here real quick. It's just that G should always be for Godzilla, but
we didn't get off topic.
Yeah, we did. So anyway, I just think that it's something that bears worthy of note. The California influence on the kit model industry, I don't think really can be overstated, because not only, of course, Revell is a big part of why, but then not only because of the hot rod scene, but also because of the aircraft and military defense and everything. So much of the stuff we build in some way has some sort of California influence into it, and it makes it hard for me to poke fun at California when they've contributed so much to model building.
We should do a California hot rod build.
I was actually going there. I think what we'll do, because the next build after the 3 of a kind build is an ugly car or auto, and we've just been talking about how California has affected both the aviation industry and the hot rod scene, the car scene. So I think that we may make that more of the California. And
don't get an ugly car build already.
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, we sort of did, but I think that.
I got an idea. How about a Jay Leno build? Anything Jay Leno has.
Ken, that's everything on the shelf.
Get a model on.
Yeah, I mean, he has like 300 cars. It'd be hard to find one he doesn't have. A Ford Fiesta. But
with an SHO engine in it sideways.
Well, we've done national builds like we did the Canadian build and that sort of stuff. So we could do a California build, and it doesn't have to be something that came out of California. It's just got to have the California influence. Automatically, if it's a Lockheed or a North American or a Ryan that came out of one of the California factories, or that would almost make any Revell kit, but the idea is not to build a model that was made in California. It's to build a model of something that was made in or heavily influenced by by the California culture, and that leaves a lot of room for the guys. For those of you who build cars, you're gonna have a little trouble pulling off a Jaguar, but that's a very rich territory, and might make an interesting build. And I know a bunch of the Glue Troopers are already in California, so it would be. I mean, and by the way, it wouldn't necessarily have to be. It wouldn't necessarily have to be a car or a plane. It could be a ship or a diorama of something out of California. In fact, let me get back to.
Or Kardashian.
Oh, I'm not going to touch that one. Let's see. In fact, let me show you something from Mike's collection that I was very impressed with, and apparently was scratch built. Scroll. I have to run around scrolling for stuff because this is what happens when you don't have time to properly prepare. And and yes, a Frischie's Big Boy or a Bob's Big Boy statue somebody said, why not do the Frischie's Big Boy rocket that Dr. Evil had? I was like, that would actually qualify. Okay, let's go over here. By the way, Mike has a beautiful studio that he keeps his models in, and wonderfully displayed. Here we go. This is a scratch-made tower of the control tower at Edwards Air Force Base. And I know you guys will see it for a second here, but I mean, what's a diorama without that? Now it makes me want to go build a control tower just, to put on my diorama. Because what I want to make is a couple of diorama bases that I can put, whenever I build a model, I can just set it right there on the diorama and take pictures just to give it a, the right vibe. And if it's a wrong scale, you can always put it at a distance to make it a forced perspective shot. But
is that a package from an Ideal tugboat?
I don't know, maybe. Let me see. I don't know if I have a... Oops, wrong button. Hit the button, Max, but not that button.
A model of the Beatles drum set?
Oh yeah, you can buy all that. Yeah, they make their guitar. They make scale instruments, music, guitars, trumpet, all kinds of stuff. It's kind of it's not the kind of thing I've ever built, but they make all the musical instruments.
Wow.
Let me see if that's the Ideal tugboat.
Fireboat.
Ideal fireboat. Okay, yes it is. Let's see if... Oh, now here, speaking of cars, Steve, I know you'll recognize this. This is from Mike's collection. And by the way, this is large scale, like 1/6 scale. All right? I keep forgetting you got to wait a long time for you to populate it. Yeah, because satellites are linking up in outer space. And they're popping out. There it goes. You see it?
Oh, yeah. The Fairchild safety car.
Experimental safety vehicle.
Cool handmade model.
One of two.
That's awesome.
And
with Buick Riviera wheels.
Well,
where did that come from, Mike?
Well, remember his Uncle George worked on the project. And even though when Mike talks about, celebrating aviation, he talks about his Uncle George working at Republic Aircraft and escape systems and things like that. Apparently cars were his first love. And he went over to Fairchild and worked on this. And I think it was kind of his project. And, a lot of the stuff that's in there is in cars today. Everybody kind of laughed at the time, but now it's, that hood on top, has extra tail lights in it. So that was the sort of the prototype of the third tail light. And although it had more than that in it, but and he says that slide rule you see beside it is the slide rule that car was designed with.
It's very cool.
And only 2 of those in the world, and the others in the museum.
Uncle George was hitting it.
Yeah, that he is quite the
guy.
Yeah, absolutely, and the kind of guy we would all love to have known. the uncle everybody wants to have. And I'll have to get up with Mike and coordinate doing a video about his models, because I know me, I will forget the details and get it wrong, which I don't want to do. But he has a magnificent collection, and let's see. And some of them are kits, some of them are from the model shops of certain companies and that sort of stuff. And this is just a small sampling. And Mike's talked about a lot of this on his channel. I mean, like towing behind the Atlantic. Yeah, and it didn't dawn on me. I should have brought next time I go out there, Mike, you and I are going to have to sit down and just do a proper interview, because every one of these things has a story behind it. And by the way, this collection is not at all random. These are the models of not the type, but right down to the airframe number. Mike has flown in every one of these aircraft, the military aircraft. The Caravel, I'm not sure what the story was on that, but he used to sell the Blannet gliders. He flew that's his F-16. He rode in F-18, which, by the way, is not a regular Navy F-18. The F-14 has the number on it, and but these are all air, except for, of course, he hasn't flown in the X-15. Let's see if I have one that has all of them in the photograph.
Nice cutaway of the Normandy.
Yeah, he had some family that sailed a couple of times on the Normandy, so there's family history there. And now, let's see if I can. No, that was after that. And
Mike says all of these aircraft except the X-15, but yes, all the rest.
All right. And here's a picture of where the magic happens. That is the desk on which he has done all the artwork that he is famous for. When you see, what do they call it, the French curves and that stuff and everything, you realize the talent he has, because this isn't done on a computer. This is hand and eye and time and effort and practice and precision, and which is one of the many reasons I fly planes instead of draw pictures of them, because I could never do that. I can't draw a straight line. And let's see.
Now, are those box tops things that he's going to be configuring into some type of piece of artwork? Or
I don't know, actually. I'm sure they may just be reference material. I'm sure they're there for a reason. Let's see. Oh gosh, so many things. I promise you guys I would not take you on the tour of my vacation to California, and here we are. But these are models, and this counts. This is all legitimate, because this is all model stuff.
Let me make a point about, you talked about car shows and being at Bob's, and anybody who's going to build a car model. Car shows are a phenomenal source of reference for what should be what color, how certain things go together that the instructions might not, clarify. I mean, it's really to your benefit to go to a couple of car shows, or even to a racetrack when there's a car race, to actually see these things, on purpose. That'll make your modeling experience better, because it'll be more correct. That was my public service announcement for the
Box art will be a museum. It's going to be a museum display. Okay.
Got it.
What did I say I was going to go get? Because I've been scrolling through the pictures and I already forgot. There's also some goober gave him this model Mustang in a plastic box. I'm not really sure what the story was on that. But and I keep forgetting it takes like 30 seconds for you guys to see the pictures when I put them up. But we're talking in real time. So anybody watching is like, why is he talking about stuff that's not on the screen? Because I see it instantly, but it doesn't get out to you for 30 seconds. Anybody recognize that?
Okay.
Folks, that is go ahead, Steve.
I am humbled. I am humbled, Mike. I really am humbled.
Steve made that for Mike. That's what is it? Which Mustang is it?
It's a Mustang GT.
Okay, but
I don't remember what year it is. I mean, I know we were close, but we weren't on the exact year.
But let's see. Now, like I said, I'm going to do a proper video with all the models and everything. But the detail work on these is great, and some of them Mike built some of them, some he didn't, but they were it just. What I like is everything's beautifully spaced out. You can see everything. Here's the Republic display, and it's fun because, as Mike points out, when you speak airplane, you can sit down and talk about these things. And of course, Mike's affiliation with family and everything with Republic, he has a lot, excellent inside knowledge. Then we went and met up with his friends, one who worked at Northrop and Ryan, and their knowledge of this stuff is encyclopedic. I mean, I'm impressed, and I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, man, I really don't know that much about. I know a little bit about most things. These guys know this subject matter down to the nut and rivet, and it's really fun to sit and talk about. Did you know it did this, or did you know it did that? And I just smile and nod because, no, of course I didn't know that, but I know it now, and I'm never going to forget it because I'm going to win a bar bet with that someday. But that's why I'm not putting pictures of my builds up here. I'm like at this stuff. I'm like, yep, I am not putting my airplanes on the table. Now let's see. I think I get. Oh, here's what I was looking at. This is the P-38 mural that Mike did in 1996 for the Burbank Airport, and I keep forgetting you guys aren't going to see it for about 20 or 30 seconds. But
oh wow, Republic CB.
Yeah, Republic's the only
models of those very often.
The only few companies made them, and that was, I believe, the only general aviation airplane Republic made. So I forget, what is this, Mike? 30 foot or something? This is an enormous. I meant to have somebody stand next to it so you could see it, but this is all freehand. I mean, you took his measurements and everything,
very
but
nicely done.
It's and of course,
Is that the later L model?
Yes, it is the L model, and of course it's done there as a commission for the Burbank Airport because Burbank is where they built a bunch of the P-38s, and this is he was telling me that it was it was actually commissioned by a bunch of P-38 guys who flew in the Illusions. So those mountains in the background, those sort of mountain, that was a nod to the Aleutian pilots without, being too overt, because this represents all the P-38, so it doesn't have like a specific squadron marking or anything. And
that's why the L on the tail. Okay.
That's good. That's correct. That is right. And while Mike was explaining it to me, the couple of the security people walking by, like, what are these guys doing? Yeah.
Contemplating taking that picture.
He was kind of pointing out, I painted it, he pointed like, oh, okay. But he was telling me that.
Oh, wow, I just noticed his name's in the corner.
Yeah.
96.
Mm-hmm. 1996. Mike,
How long did it take him to do that?
Oh, Mike, what was it? Did you say it took a month? I think he said. But the thing was, he couldn't do it there in the building. This photo does not show how narrow that corridor is, and because of the paint and the easels and everything, all the stuff he needed, OSHA rules wouldn't let him paint it there. So they had to paint it in a hangar and then move it over. And of course, the day they move it over, it's raining cats and dogs, so they have to roll it up and But they got it over there, and they had a big unveiling. They covered it with a parachute. Mike, I believe you said it was Tony LaVere was the guest of honor who unveiled it or whatever, and the man who the first man to fly a P-38, the revered Lockheed test pilot Tony LaVere.
Mike's 3 months in the maintenance hangar off-site.
Okay, 3 months. All right, that was it. like I said, I can't draw a straight line, and I'm sitting there. You've got a painting of an airplane with a 20 odd foot wingspan. I can't draw a straight line. If I don't follow a seam line or use a ruler or something, but it's amazing, and the thing works from all the perspectives as you're walking down the hall. I told him if I ever Max's Models ever manufactures models and makes a P-38, that's the box art, and it.
So, Mike, you had to deliver this on the one day they had rain a year in Southern California?
Yeah. Here's the thing. He pointed out, just the primary colors are yellow and blue, and the gas caps and things have the red rings around them. And I went back and I went, hey, those are Revell colors.
Yeah.
Revell should make that their box art.
Jack Linwood is looking down on you.
And smiling. And, but the one of the behind me is a big model of a P-38 that I don't know who made it. It was been there forever. It may date back to World War II, but it's a pretty impressive thing in its own right. But that artwork is, that's why you hire professionals. Oh, here it is. Here's the model of the P-38. And that thing's not quite as big as the painting, but it's huge. It's about at, I guess, 1/10 scale. And Mike was saying if you're outside the building at night where the lights are on and looking in, the two of them look like they're doing, basic combat maneuvers, chasing each other around. And let's see.
Wow, that's a beautiful model.
It really
that's
is.
big.
Yeah. And so there was so much to cover. We did so much stuff there. We were all over SoCal through Topanga and down to Malibu, and I'll put together a couple of videos of different sections of it for those who are having trouble sleeping. Now, Steve, I'm going to show you some pictures of cars that were, because I believe me, I took a lot more photos than you guys saw, and we'll play a little game of Stump the Monkey.
Oh, okay.
And by that I'm saying I hope you can tell me what it is, because I haven't got a clue.
Okay.
I've got one up, but it's going to take it a little time for you to see it, of course. And mind you, these are California cars, so a lot of them have been modified. But I'm waiting for you to get your picture.
It's like the Jeopardy music is playing in my head.
Yeah. Okay, I think it may be.
Oh, with Henry J.
Henry J. What can you... Now, this one was turned into like a dragster, but what the heck is a Henry J?
Henry J was a car that was made by Kaiser.
Uh-huh.
Now, Henry Kaiser was an industrialist.
Yeah.
And he built Liberty ships during the war.
That I remember.
Okay. And he owned Nash Kelvinator. So he decided to make cars, and this car was named after him. And it was a compact two-door car, very small after the war, very inexpensive. And, it had a couple of year run. But it's been very popular with the hot rodding community.
Okay.
And it's very easy to turn it into a drag car or a hot rod.
All right, I'm loading up the next one here. This one is a little blurry, but for some reason, I guess my hand was shaking or something. But this one will probably be a pretty easy one for you. I'm going to do something evil.
There's been quite a few. Revell has a kit of the Henry J.
Oh, do they?
They've reissued it a couple of times. Oh, that's a 54, the shoebox.
Okay. You know what?
4954.
I'm going to make it a slideshow where you'll only have a couple of seconds to identify them.
Okay. This was the first real all-new car Ford came out with after the war. It was very popular.
Okay. All right, let's see. We'll pick... you've already seen those, so... I don't think the Firebird would be much of a challenge with the gigantic Firebird on the... Yeah. Okay, we'll pick...
Screaming Chicken on the hood?
Yeah. We'll pick this one. And we'll pick... I want to make sure they're angle or have a fighting
Mine
chance.
says Henry J was also sold through Sears Roebuck catalog as the Sears All.
It's Allstate.
Yeah, Sears Allstate.
Yeah. Hmm?
Alrighty, righty. And bonus points for
Cheers.
guessing the year.
Bonus points for.
Guessing the year.
Oh, okay. Gonna make it real tough.
Now, some of them you're going to like, oh, you know what they are, but the year might be a bit of a challenge for you. But, and some of them have the hoods up, which breaks up the lines. Okay, and I'm looking for one. Oh, there it is. Okay, ready?
You take this with your phone?
Yeah.
No. You must have been nervous.
They're going to rotate quick, so when they show up. Ready, set.
Okay.
You should be getting them any second.
Still waiting.
Yeah, the lag. The lag!
Didn't you
come
talk
on.
to Elon about that?
Yeah. I'm going to start using story. Okay, here we go. We're off and running.
Oh, 64 Wildcat.
Okay.
Some kind of Dodge 58.
Snap together
Beaver.
VW.
64 Chevelle. 61 VW bus. 66 Chevelle. 56 Ford F100. 49 Studebaker Champion. I don't know what that is.
Ooh, nice fire.
64 Ford Falcon. 71 Firebird. 64 Wildcat. Now we're going back to the beginning. That's a
Yeah.
Dodge.
Yeah.
I don't know what year it is. Okay, I'm done.
With Dodge or Plymouth. Same thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Good job.
66 Chevelle. 56 Ford F100. 49 Studebaker Champion. Don't know what that thing is. 64 Falcon. 71 Firebird. And a 64 Wildcat.
Okay.
Back
Yeah.
to the Dodge. We've run the course.
Yep.
Oh, there's a Corvette there behind the VW bus.
Oh,
Yeah, Corvettes were pretty well represented. Let's see. Go back to.
What was that car that really radical car? I just thought I saw it next to one of the other cars.
Really
It was
radical
a
car?
new car, but it was a throwback to like the 40s.
new car that would throw
The
back.
Panther? Was it the Panther?
The Viper?
No.
No.
It's like a
Oh, the
Panther.
Prowler.
Had a-
The Prowler.
Prowler. Yes.
Yeah, the Plymouth Prowler.
There might
Yeah,
have
I
been
thought
a
I saw
Prowler
one
out
next to
there.
one of those other cars that you flashed through there.
Okay. Here. Okay. Stand by for round two. Hold
Oh,
on.
this round two. Okay, lightning round.
Round two, the lightning. Hold on. I'm gonna slow it down a little bit because you have time to recognize them, but not to say what they are before the next car comes up. So what I'm gonna do? Okay, slideshow. Okay, fade time be 8,000 milliseconds. 8,000 milliseconds. All right, let's select some cars here. This is fun. Because I'm not the one being tested. All right.
Rob Atlas says, my friend has a Prowler.
Oh, yeah.
Prowler got a bad rap because it didn't have a V8.
Ah.
Couldn't fit it under the hood.
All
It
right.
lived longer.
No, width.
Oh.
Okay, pick that one. And we already talked about that one, so there's not much point. Oh, here we go. And that one. And that one. Yeah, we still got a few goodies in here. Don't think we did that one. The Mustangs are really well represented also. And,
Pop your car.
yeah, for good reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many people didn't have a Mustang? Come on.
Well, I didn't have one recently, but I got one now. Okay, let's see.
Limmer Crazy says, underpowered. Ladies drove Prowlers here.
Okay, ready, set.
Hit it.
Go.
Was that a front wheel drive car? The Prowler?
No. No.
Oh, okay. I didn't think so.
Nope.
Okay, what just happened? Replay.
Nothing.
Okay, this first one's going to go and then go away and then come back. What it is, I
okay.
have my finger on the start button, so it pops up. You have a chance to identify it and say what it is before I go to the next one.
Well, VW bus.
All right.
Snap
It's-
together?
It's going to go. Too soon.
Came and went. Now it's B38. Again, it just came back.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're going to go to the next one.
For extra points, get the one next to it.
Yeah.
The one next to it looks like a Lexus.
The black one?
Yeah.
Gosh, this takes a long. There we go.
Now it's taking forever, but okay.
Yeah.
Is that a flathead?
32 Ford.
With a flathead engine?
Might be a flathead.
As soon as you name it, I'm going to
in
click.
the background.
Oh, this is painful. I got to find a way to speed this thing up. Black car, a yellow van.
Oh, 68 Corvette.
All right.
And a Mustang, 5.0 Mustang next to it.
And here comes another one.
66 Mustang, 65, 66. 2 plus 2.
Yellow car.
Yellow car, yeah.
I mean, I'm clicking the button right. There we go. Here we go. There it is.
64 Mustang. 65 Mustang. Yeah.
Rob Atlas
64 and a half, I
65.
guess.
He also said 66.
No, it's not a 66.
Anything can happen in the next half hour.
And stand by for adventure.
That's a 64 because it's got a 260 instead of a 289.
My personal favorite Mustang.
A 69 Mach 1.
There you go, baby.
My
All right.
brother-in-law had a Mach 1.
They're nice cars.
He was a salesperson at a dealership, so he got one brand new for a big discount.
I'm
And
just
there's
gonna,
a 68 Chevelle next to it.
Yep. I'm just going to let these run so you can read them off as they happen. If you should, you'll have about 5 seconds for each one.
64 Falcon.
Hard to believe
Yeah,
that's
which
actually
looks-
a Mustang.
Which looks like it has a 5.0 Mustang motor in it.
Mm.
What's that red thing? It's a red car. Very
Oh,
smooth.
this was nice. This is like a 40 Ford.
I don't know. I'm asking you. I have no idea.
Altus. I'm sorry, Rob. I kept saying your name wrong.
37
Rob
Ford.
Altus.
Nice wheels.
Yeah, they did a lot of nice work there.
My favorite Mustang is the P51D.
56 Chevelle Cameo pickup. Now, Chevrolet, it's not Chevelle. Now the 64 Falcon.
Nice of that.
Yeah, it's a nice that C7. I like that. And there's the Prowler behind it.
Ah,
Studebaker pickup.
Electronics
Another
just
six-
don't get it to Delaware as fast as they do everywhere else.
No, another 69 Mustang. Must be because the president gets to get a piece of the transmission. Looks like a 79 Cadillac
mm-hmm.
lowrider.
Yep.
And back to the VW.
And back to the VW. Very good. You may now proceed to the collegiate level.
Ah, Pitmobile. Okay. Got a lot of Pitmobiles.
Well,
All right, let's undo a few of these.
And that's
here.
every Friday night.
Yeah, and that's
Oh,
not
that's
even all
really
the cars. Those are the ones we had to stay close by because they were. We had to stay close by because we were waiting for them to call our name. It turned out they texted me for our table, and the place actually when we left, which is the height of dinner hour, wasn't as busy as earlier, and the it's Bob's Big Boy, so you got to have their signature Big Boy sandwich. It's just kind of what you do, and not that this is turning into the food channel. Just real quick, that is their signature Big Boy double decker. No, I did not eat the whole thing. I left most of the fries and the bun behind, but I figured. And by the way, that's not ketchup.
Who are you kidding?
Huh?
Who are you kidding? Come on.
I did. Mike is my witness. And
He ate the expensive part.
yeah, I ate the protein part. That's not ketchup. That's like a salsa. It's their personal signature sauce, which is okay. But if you don't want it, make sure to tell them because I thought it was ketchup, and imagine my surprise. But
Was it spicy?
a little bit, not bad, but I mean, it was just wasn't what I was expecting. I mean, it was fine though. And there's so much more that we did that, but like I said, I got to coordinate with Mike and get all the information right. So when I do a video and talk about the airplanes, because the last thing I want is to get an email from him that says, no, that's not the airplane I did that in. That's the airplane we did that in. Like, uh-oh. But it's that's the best 3 days I've had in a long time because it was all cars, airplanes, California landmarks, and we were even blessed with I mean, we were averaging 49 miles an hour on the 405.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, even Mike was shocked.
Did you have a laser on the front of the car?
Tell you what, and well, we were going fast enough that the Chippies, the California High Patrol, had one guy pulled over. So I was like, somebody managed to break the speed limit or do something stupid. But
Maybe they were clearing the road for an emergency landing.
no, Ken. They were writing a very expensive ticket to give, to help to offset their deficit. But
There are too many people who understand that reference.
yeah. Where were they? Yeah. Oh my God. I probably should not share this, but what the heck. Since you brought up something like that, while we were at Burbank, there are a couple of, within aviation, fairly famous landmarks at the Burbank airport. And I believe this is the photo I'm looking for. And where that VSP station is at, oh, that's right, the picture's not up yet. A picture's going to come up of a parking garage. And to the right is a sign that says VSP. And apparently, you guys remember some years ago, they had Southwest had a 737 overrun the runway and end up in a gas station. Well, that
was the gas station?
Yeah, there's a famous photograph of the 737, the nose gear collapsed, sliding up to the gas pumps. And so that's where that happened. And
Steve, if you want a really good laugh, a good chuckle, and understand what I'm talking about, you should look up a video called Flight 405.
Flight 405, yeah.
Okay.
It was a professionally done video when CGI was brand new to show what they could do with CGI, and even today it holds up fairly well. It is funny. Now another photograph for all you aviation movie buffs is nope, sorry, wrong photo. Let me get
you talk about you got to refuel.
Actually, the logo I put on it was I'd like a couple of burritos and a Coke.
Gail says my cousin was on that flight.
Oh my God.
God.
Well,
God.
the famous one-liner to come out of that on the CVR was a pilot as it was happening. Well, there goes my career.
Well, you talk about the Burbank airport, which was
it was named what, the Bob Hope Airport? at
Yeah,
one
Bob
point?
Hope Burbank, Hollywood Burbank Airport. Yes.
Okay. Now you talk about you were just at the Bob's Big Boy.
Yeah.
Bob Hope lived like about a half a mile from the Big Boy behind it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's where he actually lived. And he kept his plane at the airport there, so that's why the airport was kind of named after him, because he would be in and out of there all the time with his plane.
Okay. All right. I think this is the photograph I'm looking for. And, of course, Mike's giving me the grand tour. Now, I'll try and zoom on this. If you look across the field at that hangar that's in the center between the two biz jets, that's where the scene from The High and the Mighty with John Wayne when he's pre-flight in the airplane was filmed. That was shot at Burbank. They did not go all the way to Hawaii for it. And
Oh, too bad.
unfortunately, as Mike lamented, is that Burbank was kind of a local secret, but the secret's out now, and the
Wow.
airport is getting really, really crowded, and they don't have many gates, and they're building a whole new terminal now. This one's going to come down, and
Every time I used to fly to LA, I would go to Burbank,
I can't blame
because you
them.
could be out of the plane and in the rent-a-car in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's impressive. It was a slick little operation, but there's just the Southwest aircraft. Southwest kind of dominates it, and there's another terminal to the left, and then you go down to the end there and hang a right, and that's where our gates were at, because our planes are longer and the tail would stick. And you see how close it is to the runway. In fact, if you notice that green, putting green looking area in the center of the runway, when we landed, you can't turn off to the right because that's where the gates are at. So when you land, you turn off to the left, go around that green thing and stop short of the end of the runway and wait till they clear you to taxi across.
Now, the beauty of flying in there as a passenger, especially if you're on Southwest, is there's no jetways, so they roll the stairs
Yep.
up to the doors.
That's correct.
So the trick is you sit in the back of the plane in the last row. As soon as they open the door, you're out.
In fact, since you brought that up, I caught a pretty good picture. This
Scale model apprentice said, I just went and watched Flight 405. Very funny.
Oh, it's hilarious. There is a photograph of them boarding a JetBlue A220 out on the ramp, and you can see the same thing over on the Southwest plane to the left, and I keep forgetting you're not going to see it for another 20 seconds. But, that's all. The reason I use those 180 air stair systems is that you can roll wheelchairs up them. Makes perfect sense.
Oh.
Works fine. But it lacks the elegance of the old, straight up, steep,
Say that again.
Mike's talking about what a nightmare it is to use LAX. I can fly into LAX and find the gate, and the controllers are very professional. The place is a zoo, but it's a well coordinated zoo. All right, and I can park without too much. Although in LAX the parking ramps are really tight because it's an old airport. It weren't made for big jets, but not a problem. I get in there, shut down, walk down the terminal, and I get out to the front where we pick up the van, and it's not too bad. It's certainly not as bad as some other airports I've gone to. Nothing like Chicago. But the moment I get in that crew van, that's where the nightmare begins. The traffic at LAX would scare Mario Andretti. Let me put it this way, guys. I bought a ticket, and an airline pilot who can jump seat for free bought a ticket to Burbank to avoid going to LAX for free.
Robert Rodriguez wants to know, do they tear off the tails at this airport too?
It wouldn't take a lot of effort. The problem that I have being a Florida guy is they had these strange brown things with scrub brush that surround the airport. they call them mountains. And I'm like, why did you guys stack all these rocks around the airport? They're in the way.
Well, you forgot about that one up in where the heck was that? In Pennsylvania, that was like in the bottom of a bowl.
Yes, I did not forget, Ken. That's why I never went back.
We were flying from Stanley.
Yes, and Fort Indian Gap, and then I used to go to Costa Rica all the time, which is, again, it's got one cutout area gap, but for the most part, it's basically in the mouth of a gigantic volcano. And I'm like, you can only land one way. You physically can't turn the other way tight enough to avoid the rock. And so they basically land, if the winds allow it, they land one way and take off the other. I mean, you can do it in a small plane, but you're not doing it in an airliner. And I'm like, luckily the weather there is pretty predictable. But in California, Bob Hope, I mean, this airport is not one to trifle with. They actually have a nice long runway for taking off, but you can't make the turn to land there, I don't think, in an airliner. So they tend to land on the short runway. And, but, you know.
Bill Campbell says, those aren't mountains, just sharp-edged hills.
Yeah. Cumulogranite is cumulogranite, whether it's 100 feet or 1,000 feet. Remember, aviator rule number 7, terrain always wins.
Oh, yes. You can't fight with terrain.
You can do it once. Burbank, of course, part of its aviation history is, you know, but
Sligo says, California's a beautiful state if you get rid of all the people.
He sounds just like my son.
Hey, your son lives in San Diego. Also have Amelia Earhart. They have a statue of her there because, you know, of her affiliation with the area. And you have to remember that when airplanes had propellers, Burbank was considered a big airport. It's when you start getting these runway hogging jets that it starts becoming a small airport. But all these airports in California are so rich in history, and there's where Howard Hughes had his operation. All of them were manufacturing. It really was the Golden State, and that rich history has. I mean, there's still some stuff there, but
Ray Wyatt says in Wyoming we call those molehills.
huh.
Garfield says, with big budget airlines, the pilot does a touch and go, and you get pushed out the plane as the door to deplane.
Yeah. Well, it's a business. They're not there because that airplane's not making any money sitting on the gate. Come on, get them off, get them on. And at my airline, they actually have the cleaning crew come on before the people get off, so they're cleaning the lavatories as people are deplaning.
Wow.
They say it saves 7 minutes a turn, which is time in the airline industry. Time is money. But
I remember flying down to Florida all the time on U.S. Air, and the boarding process was always ridiculous because you would get all of these old people getting on the plane with wheelchairs and walkers and stuff like this. And I remember saying to one of the flight attendants, why don't you just take the first 8 rows out and put body bags in here?
Oh, God. Really, Steve?
See,
the scary part is, Steve, I don't have any doubt that you actually said something like that.
Oh, I did. I actually did. She laughed. She said that wouldn't be a bad idea. I think that all the people that are, in wheelchairs they should be in the back of the plane, because if something happens, they shouldn't be in the way when I'm trying to get out.
You've had a good life.
Put the slow ones in the front. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Exactly. Put the people that are going to be obstacles in the front.
There's a snarky comment I want to make, but I am not going to.
Okay.
Maybe the day after I retire.
Well, the crowd says, I'm trying to say something nice about California. There's good Mexican food.
Yeah.
There you go.
You guys have probably all seen this photograph. I'm standing basically where that photograph was taking the photo of the photo. For those who do not know, left to right, in the left in the sunglasses is the Jar Jar Binks of science fiction, J.J. Abrams. center, holding the big square bag, is none other than Steven Spielberg, and to his side, the chubby fellow with the glasses and the small bag is Guillermo del Toro. You know, some of the current Hollywood, the rest of the guys there are the staff of Burbank's Hobbies. And they pose for that favor. They go in there and stock up. They're model builders. And another person that's a model builder that goes there from time to time, but they didn't have his photo up there. And the funny thing is, when I show people this picture, they go, I don't recognize him. Who is he? And I'll stick it up there and see who's the quickest one to be able to identify it as soon as I find my place that I just lost. Here we go. It's again a picture of a guy's cell phone, but I'll see if I can't. The guy in the blue shirt, and I know it's a fuzzy photo, but so now I have to wait for it to populate on the screen, people to take a look at the picture, then go, oh my God, it's really him, and tick. So it'll be a little second. There we go. All right. So it's the guy in the blue shirt who goes in there from time to time. Jon Favreau. And there you go. Kuda Killa got it. Rob Atlas. Now, the joke there at the hobby shop is Favreau was in there buying up. He said, Mike, what does he say? He says, buying up everything Star Wars. And they were like, you know, what you doing? He goes, I'm restocking Guillermo's shelves. You know. But anyway, so it would have been cool to run into them, but they weren't there. And I'm quite certain I'm better off that they weren't there, because had I'm quite sure I would have made a total idiot out of myself. As most of you know, that isn't much of a leap. I just figured I'd be the one to get in. If somebody's going to make the snarky comment about me, it's going to be me.
Now, isn't that a great hobby store?
Yeah, absolutely is. But that, I by the way, I called Lou at JD Hobbies while I was in California. We didn't get a chance to get down there, but I talked with him for a while. As a lot of you guys know, he's fighting some health issues, but hopefully he's getting better here. And I want to get back down and see him sometime. He just got a huge shipment of like 1,000 models that he got from an estate. So I'm like, that should be fun swimming for those, looking for the the secret. Okay, where is it?
The crowd asked, does Joss Whedon build?
You know, I don't think he does, but I don't know. Let's see. Man, it was just, my head's still swirling from the whole adventure. This was just great fun. I mean, models, airplanes, airports, good food, airplanes, airports, models, and when we visited with Mike's friends, Craig and Tony, we sat down after Tony showed me his extensive collection, which I didn't photograph because it's a private collection in his house and everything. But we talked at great length about it. But we sat down in his living room, started chatting at 2:30, and then somebody looked at their watch, I think it was me, and went, guys, it's 8:30. I think we should go get dinner. We talked for 6 hours, and I know this will shock you guys, but we talked for 6 hours in the language of airplane, aviation history. And if you'd asked me, I'd have told you it was maybe 2 hours.
Ken, does that shock you?
He forgot to eat?
No, we talked for 6 hours.
No, Ken, it was a need to eat. That reminded me. Now, all right, it's quiz time for all you aviation buffs. This is going to be the quiz episode, all right? And, all right, the big model airliner. Identify it. And, of course, again, 20-second lag before everybody's going to see it. And yes, Mike did fly in that B-52, and I believe he said it was one of the loudest airplanes he's ever been in. I wonder if 8 engines had anything to do with that. All right, identify that airplane.
The big one in the middle?
Yep.
That says DC-9
The one that
on
says
it?
DC-9? That one?
Read the whole thing.
Super
Super
80
80.
with a Republic tail?
No, that's the Douglas logo, first around the world logo.
Oh, that's Douglas. Oh, okay.
And no, it doesn't say DC-8, it says DC-9. I knew someone would say it is not an MD-80. It is a DC-9 Super 80. Which effectively is an MD-80. But the first ones that came out, the MD-80's type certificate is DC-9. MD-80 is a marketing name.
Huh.
And,
I see a bone. I see the B-52. I see what the hell was it? The Concorde back there.
mm-hmm. And Mike has flown on all of them.
T-38 or an
Yes.
F5.
No, that's a T-38. Yeah. If it's painted white, it's it's pretty safe bet it's a 38. But the DC-9 Super 80 that was flown by Sunshine Airlines, which looked a lot like that one, was the first. I helped pull an engine mount off of it, and in Tallahassee. But that was when I learned that the first DC-9, what we come to know as the MD-80, was actually the DC-9 Super 80. And, of course, McDonnell Douglas was trying to get rid of everything that said Douglas on it or DC on it. So, of course, it was renamed the MD-80. But it was actually originally the Super 80. And
Scale Model Apprentice wants to know, what's the story with the train?
believe that is the train that Mike used to take when he lived in New York, I think. Wasn't that it, Mike? That was your ride when you lived in New York? I think
Long Island Railroad train?
No, it's the other one.
It's the Long Island Railroad train.
But no, it's
pulled by an RS3.
I don't think it was Long Island Railroad. It was a there was another railroad. We're going back a ways. I think before the Long
Can you
Island
blow the
Railroad.
picture up and see what it says on the engine?
It'd be too fuzzy.
It'd be too fuzzy. But because that was the first thing I thought was that it was a. Well, I might have it from another angle. Let me see. Planes, trains, and automobiles, all right there on the desk. Let's see. Do I have that from
I think it says Long Island on the engine.
Okay. It's not in that one.
It looks like a southern paint scheme.
Let me see it. Let me see if
No,
it's
that
in
was the
this.
Long Island Railroad in the 50s. That was their scheme.
Can you read what it says on the car?
Yes, Bill.
It does say Long Island, doesn't it?
RS3.
Okay, it is Long Island.
Where's Mike? Come on, Mike. The hell is out here?
He's making us sweat. I think it does say. Look at the bottom of the passenger cars. I think it does say Long Island.
Yeah, it's a Long Island Railroad. Yeah, it says Long Island. That's a Long Island.
Okay,
Long Island
so it was a
Railroad.
long. I was right. It is a Long Island Railroad. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's from the
LIRR.
50s.
Okay. And alrighty, let's few more pictures of what time. Oh wow, it's almost 9 o'clock already. Good heavens!
Yes. See how time flies when you're having fun?
It does, and I hope everybody's having a good time just out here yakking with us. Let's see, show you some pictures of some stuff you haven't seen that you might model stuff. Stay with the model. They have a
City of New Orleans.
the museum also recently has a this model layout 1 to 200 scale of the original LA terminal, and back when that was like their first jet terminal, and it's 3D printed, Ken.
Oh, nice.
And
What scale is it?
I believe it's 1 to 200.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Where did you find 1 to 200 scale airplanes like that?
Well, that's actually a pretty common scale for airliner models.
Oh yeah, that's right. You used to, those airline models that you used to sell were in that scale.
Later, Sluggo.
Take care, Sluggo.
Thanks for coming by, Sluggo.
This I thought was a cute little kit bash that I saw hanging in the ceiling of Burbank Hobbies, and there's another one. I think I showed that in the little video I put together on my phone. There's a guy who gives them models to hang up who has this fascination with having German aircraft being shot down by post-war jets.
There you go.
And I'm like, if the war gone to 46.
That was a bit of a kit bash.
2V1s.
I like it, but a lot of the models there, a lot of the models there are actually very serious builds. This 109, which I believe was a 148 scale, and whoever did it put an awful lot of work into making it, doing the engine and detailing it and everything. And again, I keep forgetting it's going to be a while before you see it.
You know, that picture that you showed of the LA terminal with the Pan Am terminal?
Mm-hmm.
Every plane in that picture is a defunct airline now.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that.
Most of them are.
Air California got, they're all gone. Bonanza.
Bonanza, yeah.
Yeah, they're
Pan
all.
Am.
Mm-hmm. That's only mildly heartbreaking. Western. Well, a lot of them got absorbed into other airlines,
absorbed,
though.
yeah.
And, but at different times.
The only company that makes any money when that happens is the one that paints the planes.
Well, here's your useless trivia for the day. What is the single most valuable asset of Delta Airlines?
The frequent flyer points.
Actually, Ken, you're right. But what it is, it's the credit card, which those two are wrapped together. Because you get the flyer miles when you use the card.
Use the credit card.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently their credit card is what provides all those points. But it's worth more than the airplanes.
Yeah, and if everybody cashed them in at the same time, they'd be totally screwed.
Well, that's when they would just start rolling out blackout dates. But apparently, it causes the velocity of money. And United, apparently, all the airlines are doing it. Even my airline is, they're always hawking that card. And I'm like, it's heart-wrenching. It is long. It is Long Island Railroad. It's heart-wrenching to think that airlines used to fly airplanes. Now their credit card, they moved people for revenue. That was how they made their money, moving people and cargo for revenue. Now airlines are essentially credit card companies that happen to fly airplanes. We're a credit card company that happens to own an airline. But
It's interesting that I guess that's a 707 that's got one of those jetways on the back of the aircraft as well.
Yeah, that actually the double jetway thing, Ken, do you know what that was for?
747.
No, I mean why they would use it on a 7.0 and now I've been told this, don't quote me, but it's my
Because they
understanding.
load it and unload it at the same time.
Well, that's true, but no. It's so that the first class don't have to mix with the riffraff.
Okay.
Now I don't know if
I got
that's
it
really.
right.
I don't know if that's true, but somebody a long time ago said that, and maybe it was just where they flew or something. They said that, oh, we had our own jet bridge. Yeah, they sent all the regular people out the tail. I'm like, I don't think that's true because I'll tell you right now. Well, they better have a tail stand under it then because it will sit on its tail if everybody piles to the back. I actually think it was just like you do it at Burbank when they take out the front and the back. I think it was just to expedite things. But
I like the Connie.
yeah.
Kuda Killa said that at one point the fuel supply was the biggest asset of Southwest.
Well, yeah, because they had pre-bought fuel at a
They
predetermined
bought
rate.
futures.
Yeah. Uh-huh. By the way, you were talking about all the airlines that don't exist. I just happen to have this handy. This is a flow chart of airline merger, the genealogy of U.S. airlines. Early days at the left, modern days. And by the way, this is out of date because a few more have gone bye-bye since this was printed. But you'll notice we went from dozens of airlines to basically about 8. So that's just, it's as cutthroat a business as ever existed. The only industry I can think of that might be outside of warfare, that might be more cutthroat than the airline business is, broadcast and media, or being an actor. If you look at the book,
Politics.
if you open the book up,
Politics.
if you look at the book Flying the Line, the forward, it has this long flowing thing about how once a person has flown and been in the sky and seen the world from above, They never look at it the same way again. They will always look up to the sky, Charles Augustus Lindbergh. Down below it, aviation is a dirty, rotten business. Bob Crandall, American Airlines.
Pleasant person.
Well, he wasn't wrong. Well, the thing is it takes a guy like that to survive. Yeah, they didn't call him Fang for nothing, but
He was not a warm and fuzzy guy.
no, but he was successful. Well, guys, it's 9:00. I want to thank everyone for coming out. This was all thrown together at the last minute. Fortunately, I had all the photos we took. I want to thank Mike Machado, Celebrating Aviation, Mike Machado, for coming out and keeping us straight on stuff. Mike, I'm going to have to get notes on you before I put the video together, make sure I say the right thing about the right aircraft. But and
Actually, the railroads were pretty cutthroat too.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, I don't even get you started on the deregulation. That's a 10-hour conversation by itself. But I want to give a super special shout out to Mike for hosting me for 3 days and running me around and taking me to all these wonderful places. We got to do it again sometime, and meeting more great people out there in California, more aviation people, all kinds of model stuff. And now I'm officially part of the California car scene, and no one can ever take that away from me.
Okay.
And,
Okay, we'll go with that.
yeah, let's go with that. Hey, I ate at Bob's Big Boy. Established 1949.
I used to eat-
Store number 2.
I used to eat at one when we had an Aspen Hill where I used to live.
But, and now that I am home safe and sound, I can say this without worrying, because you never say this when you're on the road. This trip went flawlessly. My flight's out, my flight's back. They didn't lose my luggage. Everything showed up on time. Few bumps along the way, not much. Basically smooth rides. No problems with
Is that
airport
what
security.
happened?
That's your bag?
No, I'm saying the trip went flawlessly. And just to top it off the cherry on top, Mike and I were able to keep an average speed of over 40 miles an hour on California's main roads. I mean, I'm scared to go back to work. I think the universe is going to pay me back. But if I'm on the company clock, I'm not so worried
Is that what
about it.
happens when you pay for your ticket?
Yeah. No,
And
usually
that was
it's worse
supposed
when
to
you
be
pay
a
for it.
secret. Good Lord.
What do
Kenneth
you want?
Nix, the walking security
Did you
risk.
check your bag?
They made me.
What do you mean they made you?
Okay, the first flight out, I flew up to Atlanta on Delta. I bought an El Cheapy ticket because they were the only ones that went into Burbank, except for another one that got in at 8 at night. Except for Spirit, no.
No.
And that could be a t-shirt. Spirit, no. So, and don't get me wrong, a lot of great people work at Spirit. I know a bunch of them, but as a pastor, I've ridden on that airline, and no. But I was, and to be completely honest, I was worried about Spirit because they have a bunch of airplanes with those new engines that are having all the getting down for maintenance all the time. So, like, no.
Aren't those the ones that have cattle cars in the back?
More cowbell, baby. So I bought an El Cheapo one way out on Delta because they went into Burbank and got me in at by noontime. And actually, Dimitri to come out. Well, Rob, we'll have to set something up, try to make it happen. Maybe we'll do a thing at the Proud Bird again someday, a meet and greet. Anybody wants to come out, which is by LAX. So we got into Burbank a couple of minutes early. They made me check my bag. It was okay. Coach did board separately. Okay, that's right, because they had the big first classes back then. Forgot about that. And man, first class back then was first class. It wasn't a cold burrito in a big seat. So
Did they serve champagne?
oh, they
caviar
served
and
gourmet food, hot.
Yeah.
They had ovens and. Well, if you watch that flying with
the roast at your table side.
watch
Oh!
watch that film that's on YouTube, Flying with Arthur Godfrey, because he was not only a rated naval aviator but also a rated Constellation captain at Eastern. He was one of Rickenbacker's personal friends, and he talks about he's flying the cockpit and he goes he's having a Chesterfield And he talks about, he goes, I smell the food. The girls must have things going in the kitchen. And they have a kitchen, a galley. But they're cooking stuff. I mean, it's all pre-cooked, but it's heated up and they're real food. So, but we got there. Mike was waiting on me. We got out without any trouble. Every place we went, because we had sort of an itinerary worked out, but it was very flexible depending on things. And everything just flowed. We didn't run into any serious problems. The hotel had my reservation. It was a nice hotel. And all the restaurants we ate at were great. The Wood Ranch, I tell you, seriously, I cannot believe how good the barbecue there was. And that's coming from a Southern boy. And all the people, and Tony and Craig and all the folks we met along the guys over at Burbank House of Hobbies, because we've all been to that hobby shop that's run by the cantankerous old guy that seems to want to chase off his business. These people were very willing to talk and chat and everything, and I didn't even buy anything. I almost felt guilty, almost. But just everything clicked. I got to go through an earthquake, which was fun. 4.7 on the Richter scale. Got a wake-up call, shaky shake on the 6th floor. It really wobbles. But it's California, so the hotels wobble, but they don't fall down. The only thing that went quote-unquote wrong, which was like really minor, I check out of the hotel, Mike picks me up, we go run an errand. The people who were supposed to do something for him didn't get it done, and then I realized I'd left my expensive fluffy guy shirt at the hotel, so I had to run back, which was only a couple of minutes away. They cut me a new key. I got my shirt back. So that was a glitch for our mission, boys. And on the way back, they gave me my own row in one of the bigger rows, because I bought a ticket coming back also. And then I deadheaded home and on the last leg out of Kennedy, and all the flights went on time and nice weather and just a few little bumps on the ride home, and hit some rain driving back. Went and had lunch with my son in Daytona on the way back. So it was just a great trip. They should all go. It's what traveling is supposed to be. And I hopefully, if we're lucky, cross fingers, maybe we have Dan Monroe with us next week. If not, we'll work something out whenever get the schedules to line up. I got some things going on this week. I'm going to be real busy. I don't know how much content I'll get out. Plus, I got to go back to work. But I guess I say to save the sad news for last. Unfortunately, Gus had to be given back to his previous owner because the cats were having too many problems. So, Honey reigned supreme once again. And,
you mean I get my room back?
Too soon, Ken. Gosh. Just rip that bandage off, buddy. Just rip that bandage off.
Knows how you rate in the hierarchy, Ken.
I realized that when I was there, but hey,
Next time you're on the couch.
I got a free bed to sleep in. I'm not complaining.
Wow.
So
I mean, Ken, you didn't even get that a 30-second cool down period. All right, guys. Well, I'll loop the outro so you can chat with each other. Once again, I want to thank everybody for coming, and I'm sorry I didn't have something more coordinated put together, but I think we had a good time. So take care of yourselves. You guys want to say adios, and I'll cut the mic and loop the outro.
Good night, everybody. I hope we were able to entertain you for part of the evening, and we look forward to doing so next week.
Sorry I was late, guys. I had to get back through weather, but we made it. Had a good time. I enjoyed it, and thanks for showing up. We really appreciate you guys and the comments.
We really, really do. Guys, again, thanks for everything. Hugest shout out possible to Mike Machat of Celebrating Aviation with Mike Machat. Take care of yourselves, and as always, model on.
are brown, and the sky is gray. I've been for a walk on a winter's day. I'd be safe and warm if I was in LA. California sprinkling on such a winter's day. I stopped into a church. I passed along the way. Oh, I got down on my knees and I pretend to pray. You know the preacher like the ghost. He knows I'm gonna stay. California dreaming on such a winter's day. All the leaves are brown and the sky is gray. I've been for a walk on a winter's day. If I didn't tell her, then I could leave today. California dreaming on such a winter's day. On such a winter's day. On such a winter's
should have known you'd bid me farewell. There's a lesson to be learned from this, and I learned it very well. Now I know you're not the only starfish in the sea. If I never hear your name again, it's all the same to me. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. You never cared for secrets I'd confide. To you I'm just an ornament, something for your pride. Always running, never caring, that's the life you live. Stolen minutes of your time were all you had to give. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. The stories in the past with nothing to recall. I've got my life to live, and I don't need you at all. The roller coaster ride we took is nearly at an end. I've bought my ticket with my tears, that's all I'm gonna spend. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, it's bouncing and it's shining like a red rubber ball.
All the leaves are brown and the sky is gray. I've been for a walk on a winter's day. I'd be safe and warm if I was in LA. California's dreamland on such a winter's day. I stopped into a church. I passed along the way. Oh, I got down on my knees and I pretend to pray. You know the preacher like it goes. He knows I'm gonna stay. California dreaming on such a winter's day. All the leaves are brown and the sky is gray. I've been for a walk on a winter's day. If I didn't tell her, then I could leave today. California dreaming on such a winter's
I should have known you'd bid me farewell. There's a lesson to be learned from this, and I learned it very well. Now I know you're not the only starfish in the sea. If I never hear your name again, it's all the same to me. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. You never cared for secrets I'd confide. To you I'm just an ornament, something for your pride. Always running, never caring, that's the life you live. Stolen minutes of your time were all you had to give. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. The stories in the past with nothing to recall. I've got my life to live, and I don't need you at all. The roller coaster ride we took is nearly at an end. I've bought my ticket with my tears, that's all I'm gonna spend. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, it's bouncing and it's shining like a red rubber ball.